Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Popcorn Time. In this video we're going to be going through some of the Easter eggs and references to other movies in Avengers Age of Ultron or Avengers 2, however you want to say. So there's around 17 in total which I found and I think are pretty cool and worth a mention. But just to give you a heads up, there will be spoilers in this video, just so don't watch this video. Stop watching now if you have not seen the movie because it will spoil the movie for you completely. And also I won't be including the reference, or the references might I say, that will be in Avengers, or sorry not Avengers, but Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. which comes out tomorrow. So I'm not too sure how many references are going to be in that show, but I think there'll be enough to actually, would be enough to include in this video if I was making this video 2 days later. But anyway, let's get straight into it. If you do going to enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave any comments if you think I missed anything out. And number one, we have the Hydra base. Now this is obviously at the beginning of the movie. You see the Avengers. I didn't think the action would start this quick in the movie. I thought it might be like a slow build up, but it boom straight into the action in this movie, which I think was pretty cool. But obviously this is the scene when they're entering or trying to break into Von Strucker's castle, and obviously Tony Stark gets into that obviously the laboratory, and then finds that secret room. And obviously we see cool little things like Loki's scepter and even the Leviathan, I think that's what it's called. It's a huge big monster, Leviathan. Yeah, I think I got that right, but it's a corpse. It does look a bit smaller than it did in the first movie, which I think, because I watched the first movie before I went and saw the second one, even though they're not straight after each other, I just wanted to get the theme, like the whole Avengers theme flowing through me. But when I saw it, I was like, that looks much smaller than the one that was in the first movie. But whatever, just to make it look cool on screen, I guess. But not extremely small, but just a bit smaller, you know what I mean. They might have used some Hank Pym technology and shrunk it up, who knows. And number two, we have Ultron's origin sequence. Now this is when Ultron essentially attacks Jarvis, obviously, and they say it's out of jealousy and rage, and there's that whole sequence where he's learning this whole mission that's basically going through Jarvis's mind and stuff like that. And we have all these flashbacks to the different movies within the Marvel cinematic universe, such as Tony Stark, when he's right at the beginning of Iron Man, when he's sort of that guy, like that, basically how they describe him in the movie, like he thinks he's saving the Earth, but he's really not, he's sort of killing it, he doesn't really know the difference. And we see all these different flashbacks, and mainly Iron Man ones, but it's pretty cool to see all of them. Next we have Bucky Barnes. Now I know Bucky Barnes obviously wasn't in the movie, but he is referenced, not by name, but definitely just vaguely he's definitely referenced. Now there was a massive rumor that he actually was going to make a cameo somehow, or whether it was going to be like a little thing in Von Strucker's castle, like a photo or something, or some files. Who knows what it could have been, or maybe even from the computers that Tony Stark did take some information from. But it's actually going to be, it was actually from Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, who says that he's still on that that mission trying to find him. And he also makes the quote at the party, I think it is, when Falcon's like, oh, you didn't need me there, and he goes, oh, avenging is your thing. He says that to Captain America. So nice little reference to Bucky Barnes. Obviously there is Bucky Barnes in the comics does actually become Captain America for a certain amount of time. Next up we have a Battle of New York memorial. Now this is pretty interesting, when the Avengers actually return to Stark Tower, which has now become the Avengers Tower, and they've made some little design changes so that little jet can land there. There's a swooping shot over the city of New York that actually reveals a memorial statue to those who fell in battle, which is also firefighters as well, along with the people that unfortunately did pass away during the battle. Next up, and this one is not a surprise, we have the Stan Lee cameo, might I say, which comes after they return from that little adventure at Von Strucker's castle, and he has Stan Lee, who I think is playing like a war veteran, in this little cameo, and Thor's got this, I don't know, this alcohol, this, I don't know what it is, it's very, very strong, and he says, it's not for mortal men, and Stanley's like, come and try us, and he takes, and obviously the next scene is him like mumbling and not making any sense. He's absolutely plastered and wasted, who knows what he's on. But it was a nice little cameo there from Stan Lee, and he makes a nice little quote, Excelsior. It's really weird. Next up is a nice little Easter egg to not really all the characters doing it, but the fact that a certain character doesn't attempt it, and it's actually played on in the comics where she becomes a certain character. And this is the test of worthiness, where Thor essentially puts his hammer on the table and all the Avengers stand up and test it. And we have Captain America, who actually makes it sort of budge a bit, and you see Thor get a bit worried, but then nothing happens. Tony Stark obviously even gets his Iron Man glove and uses the thrusters to try and pick it up. Everyone tries, but the only person that does not try is actually Natasha, aka the Black Widow. Now in the comics, she is actually deemed worthy and able to pick up the hammer and actually becomes the goddess of thunder. So it's obviously, I don't think it's going to happen in the movies, but I think it's just a nice little play to the comics there that she did not even attempt it, because there could have been the possibility that she could actually have been able to pick it up. Next up is we have Scarlet Witch's costume. Now the first costume that we actually see her wearing is a tribute to her appearance in X-Men Evolution in the year 2000 that saw her wear a black dress and a red coat, And this actually, the second costume that we see her wear towards the end of the movie, actually it's actually the last scene of the movie, might I say, is a bit more classic and a bit more how would you say, traditional in regards to the comics. Next up is a scene I think we actually saw in one of the trailers, or I think it was just a still from something that they actually released, and it involves Ultron when the twins first meet him when he's wearing the crimson robe. Now this is actually a play on when he first appeared in the comics, and he went by the alias the Crimson Cow, which involved him obviously wearing that crimson hood and the cape and everything. So it's a nice little homage to the comics there. Next up is when the Avengers actually go to Wakanda, which is the home, might I say, of the Black Panther, which we'll be seeing very, very soon in the cinematic universe, which I think is pretty interesting and I'm pretty excited about. I want to see how they portray the character and what actually happens and how it actually affects the cinematic universe. Now obviously Wakanda is the place where you can pick up vibranium, which is what Captain America's shield is made of, and what Ultron actually wants to obtain to make the Vision and basically import his mind and everything into there. So it's good that they set this up. They obviously introduce Ulysses' claws, might I say. So, and obviously he gets his arm cut off by Ultron. So it's good that they introduce this, and it's just opening the universe even more. Next up, we have the cameos from various movies within the series, as all the characters have their different visions as they are controlled, or not controlled, but affected by the Scarlet Witch. Now we see Steve Rogers essentially going to a dance, or a ball, however you want to say what it is, after the Warriors, and then you see Peggy Carter there, and he actually finally gets to have that dance, which we hear at the end of the first Captain America movie, which is nice to see. We also see Thor back on Asgard, but I'll get to that in a second. And we also see Black Widow's vision, which I'll also get back into a second, because they actually have different effects on the universe and also different Easter eggs how you portray them. Speaking of the visions, we have Black Widow's vision, which I like to say that they actually did have an attempt at this in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, or not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., sorry, in Agent Peggy Carter. Now, if you have not watched that show, it's not better than all the others, but it's still a really good show. I recommend you go see it. I think it's got 10 episodes or something. No, it's got like six or 7 episodes. I'm not too sure. It's something like that. But in that show, there's actually a sort of like a Russian spy agent thing that's following and blending in with Agent Carter's group as well. And they sort of have flashback to Black Widow or Natasha Romanoff's past, where she's in that academy. I think it's called the Red Room Academy or something like that, where she's basically taught to kill and all these different things. And it was actually revealed that she was actually sterilized, so she can have babies, which is, I found that really weird. It was also just mind-blowing and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool, and I think Agent Peggy Carter had sort of set that up, and everyone who watched that show was like, oh, is that where Black Widow's from? So it was nice to finally learn that out. Next up, we have the reference, or the vision, I guess you could say, to Thor Ragnarok, which is the third film in the Thor franchise. And in this vision, we see Thor actually go to a doomed Asgard, where he encounters Heimdall, who actually doesn't have his helmet on, which is pretty interesting. I think that's the first time we've seen that, but basically we just see a lot of people dancing, but Heimdall comes up and he looks like he's blind. That's what he looks like, but he says it's an extinction level event that will be coming. Now obviously, if we remember at the end of Thor Dark World, we know that Loki has actually turned into Odin. He's disguised to Odin, so what we can assume is that he's going to cause some havoc while he's Odin, and he obviously thinks he's the rightful king of Asgard. So but that's just a little play, and obviously it's setting up Thor Ragnarok as well. Now the next little Easter egg or reference, I guess you could say, is a little bit of foreshadowing, or a bit of setting up for Civil War, I guess you could say. Now this comes about when they're trying to finish off basically implementing Jarvis's consciousness into the body of Ultron. Now Captain America storms in, I think it's with Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and obviously Bruce Banner, or the Hulk is obviously there, but he's helping Tony Stark, and they have a bit of a fight. They want this to happen. They think it's going to be Ultron 2.0, if not even more powerful, because of the vibranium. So he's trying to stop it. Tony Stark's, no, this is what we need to do. Bruce Banner's on that side as well. But in comes Thor. They have a bit of a fight, obviously, and in comes Thor and just causes Ultron to come alive anyway. But that's a bit of foreshadowing between Captain America and Iron Man having a bit of a fight together, and showing that they do have a lot of differences in what they believe is right and wrong. The next reference is to do with Captain America, but it actually doesn't involve Captain America. It involves some of his equipment. Now in the 1970s, there was some Captain America films that involved Captain America on a bike as well, with his shield. Was actually a shield on the front of the bike, and in the scene where they're trying to stop the truck that has Ultron on it, Captain America drops his shield during his fight with Ultron, and the Black Widow comes around. Obviously, I think she makes the quote, "I'm always picking your stuff up," or something like that. Picks it up and actually puts it on the front of her bike, which is a nice little Easter egg to the 1970s films. The second last reference and Easter egg we have here is actually to the new Avengers, which is obviously assembled at the end of the film, which involves Falcon, Scarlet Witch, War Machine, Black Widow, and Captain America himself. And he has the little quote at the end where you think he's going to say Avengers Assemble, and he says Avengers, and then it cuts off Joss Whedon style, just cutting that off as they do. But this is obviously due to, I think they're setting up the Avengers Academy. Obviously they have that new Avengers base in, I think it's at upstate New York. I think it was upstate New York, correct me if I'm wrong, because all the others, apart from Captain America and Black Widow, have gone their different ways around the different parts of the world, and even Thor, who's gone back up to Asgard to deal with Ragnarok that's about to come and happen. And the last Easter egg we have, which is the one that we should finish off on, and that is the mid-credit scene. Now, there wasn't any end-credit scene. I wasn't too sure. I stayed there till the end just in case. I just stood like at the back of the cinema, just leaning on a chair, just to make sure that there wasn't an end-credit scene. I wasn't too sure because people were saying there isn't one. There's only a mid-credit scene. I was like, I don't want to be the idiot that doesn't stay behind and then misses it, and just think there isn't one. They get told that there is, and I'm like, oh god, I've freaking missed it. But anyway, the mid-credit scene involves, just shows the Infinity Gauntlet there, no stones, and it just open up. Thanos grabs it, and then makes that nice little quote, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Now I find this a bit weird because Thanos wouldn't have any links with Ultron at all, so I'm a bit confused about how he would know about this, so they might have to figure that out and sort of explain it a bit, but it was a pretty cool scene. So thanks for watching, guys. If you leave a like, leave any comments, subscribe if you're new, I'd like to, if you have any Easter eggs or references that you think I did miss, make sure to leave them in the comments because I'd really like to know. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, make sure to do that. Link will be in the description below, and check out any of my previous videos. I'll catch you later, guys, and goodbye.